Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We are going to get started in about 2 minutes here, so just sit tight. Thank you to everyone who has joined. We are going to get started in about 1 minute here. There is a Q&A box that you can utilize if you have any questions after we start the presentation. Alrighty, thank you again, everyone, so much for joining. We are going to go ahead and get started. My name is Monisha Donaldson, and I'm joined by my colleague.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dominic Noto.
And we are presenting a presentation today called Spread Joy and Save Money. So I'm really excited because we are going to talk about a really fun topic today, and that is planning and prepping for the holidays. So before we get started on talking about the holidays, I wanted to give a little bit of background about University Credit Union and who we are. So we were founded back in 1951 on the campus of UCLA by a group of employees, and they decided that they wanted to form a credit union specific to the university community. So we focus, or so a couple of special things about us is we offer a top five rate guarantee. We offer unbiased financial consultations, and we serve just the university community. And we serve specifically staff, students, faculty, alumni, and your families. So we have partnerships all across California with different universities that we work with. So a little bit about the differences between credit unions and banks is as a credit union, we are not for profit. So that means we are owned by our members. We do not have shareholders. And we get to pretty much pour all of our quote unquote profits back into our members. So we offer a lot lower interest rates on loans, and then we offer really good dividends on checking and savings accounts. Now, on to today's topic. We're going to talk a little bit about the holidays, which I'm really excited about. We're about 2 months out. So, today we're going to talk a little bit about how to start preparing, some of the strategies, how to spend wisely, and suggestions for starting those lasting memories, as well as how to start preparing for next year. So, most of us are starting to think about the holidays. I know I am. As I said, we're already having family calls where we are like planning out things and delegating tasks. So I know for us in our family, we are already thinking about the holidays. So what better place to start preparing now a couple months out? So when we're thinking about preparing, I think the first step to think about is to think about creating a spending plan. So let's think about how much money we actually have to work with and what we can afford. So now is a good time to look at our monthly budget, and that way we have an actual idea of where to start and how much wiggle room we actually have. So I want you to think about like how much money can we actually set aside for the next 5 pay periods? Are there any expenses that we can temporarily cut down? Is there anything that we can pause to prep for these holidays? So it'll be really important for us to understand and be honest about where we are so that way we can realistically plan for the future. And then when we're thinking about kind of shifting our budget plans for the next few months, something to also take into consideration is that some of those expenses may actually change. So it's possible that, for example, gas could increase during this time, or there may be some other things out there that could increase. So also keep an eye on what are those current expenses that we have. Now, next, we want to list out all of the extra expenses that we have or that we're thinking about buying gifts for. So it's really helpful to think about who are we purchasing for, who's going to be attending or hosting those events. As I said, I know my family's already thinking about who's going to do that, who's going to have the special meals. I know my family, we have our meat eaters and then we have our vegans. So we always have two separate menus going on. So when we're thinking about who's the people that are going to take on those tasks, it's helpful to think about what meals, how much is it going to cost me? If you're a family who travels during the holidays, for instance, maybe you go back and you visit family, that's something to think about. What are the decorations that you have? And start listing everything out on a list so that you can visually see it and obviously plan accordingly. Then we'll take a look at the list of holiday expenses and compare that number realistically to what we have available. So, are these things in alignment? Does it line up? Does it make sense? And if it doesn't make sense, then figure out how big that gap in between is so that we can make it make sense. So, when we're thinking about this, I want you to kind of think about what can we do to potentially reduce costs? So, can we use some of the old decorations from last year? Are we able to go to thrift shops? Maybe we could borrow. I know there's a lot of Facebook groups online that you can swap things and you can borrow. And I want you to really allow yourself to get creative in this area on ways to achieve the things that you want, but at a lower cost. So can you cut back on the amount of money that you're spending for the gifts so that you have enough money to fulfill everything? So we don't want to stress ourselves out during this time of year because we really want to use that energy to focus on our families and really enjoy each other. So also some things to think about is do you have the flexibility on maybe meal prepping, or if you are doing a large event, what are some ways that you can strategically cut back? So for those of us, let's say that we don't have the room in our budget, which that is normal, right? There are a lot of us that don't have the extra funds in our budget. This is something to think about is there are community resources out there. So when you're thinking about if there's gaps, there are programs out there that you could work with that if you have children, they could potentially help with gifts and help with providing things for you to put under the tree for your kiddos. So there are programs like, local churches that you could go to, Salvation Army, Toys for Tots, things of that nature. But I would say, depending on where you live, try to do your research on what is available to you, just so that you can reduce your stress and not feel like you're taking on a huge financial burden. So there's also assistance, like food assistance programs. I know here in my area in San Diego, there are a lot of local churches that do things like food banks, and you get in line and they may have like a farmer's box where you can get fresh produce and things of that nature. So also when you're thinking about reducing these costs, not only are there programs for gifts, but also programs for food as well. So if you are able to reduce your spending on food, then obviously you can allocate that to a different category. So if you are, this is also for some of us who may be really fortunate that we have extra to give. I think this is something for us to think about. If we have extra funds to give, do we have a friend who may need some help, or do we, know someone at our church or around in the community that could use some assistance that we could give it to? I think the holidays is a really good time to think about giving back to our community, and I encourage you to do it if you can. So we really want to think about the unexpected as well, because when we don't think about the unexpected, sometimes it could really hit us in the face, and that is causes even more stress. So if you can try to plan for the unexpected, if you are, doing, let's say, a large gathering and you have multiple gifts that you're buying, maybe buy a universal gift or two that you could have on hand just in case, one of your family members brings an extra kiddo or maybe a child from the community or something that left, you have extra to give if you need to. And then for the families who will be traveling, think about how traveling can be really unpredictable with the weather and flights, and even we've got the government shutdowns. So plan for this as well because there are so many incidents where people get delayed, or you may have to stay somewhere overnight. You may need a hotel, things of those nature. So also budgeting for these things just in case things happen. And then next, we want to think about spending wisely. So once we have a plan, let's talk a little bit about strategies for how we spend. So there's a lot of temptations and a lot of opportunities to spend, spend, spend during this season. And we really want to have a strategy so that way we kind of combat the temptations that are going to come. So as we start making our gift list, be sure to do some research. So there's a lot of different brands and things available, and it's helpful when you do your research and you think about pricing, think about what are the ratings. I know I am one who loves to go on Amazon and look at the ratings and the reviews to make sure the stars look good. And also, if I'm shopping for clothes, I like to see pictures. So do your research and don't be afraid to do a little comparing and contrasting before you make any purchases. And then you want to shop early. The earlier, the better. So it's never too late to stop shopping and thinking about tucking away things and keeping an eye out for sales. So we also have Black Friday coming up. That's something to think about if you're going to do early shopping. Black Friday is a great place to start. And then have that plan. So Santa is not the only one who has to have that list and check it twice. So you want to make sure that you have a clear plan for the holidays so that way you stick to that plan and you try to just be planned. And I also recommend talking with a professional. So here at University Credit Union, we do offer consultations, and this consists of coming up with financial plans and goals. So writing out a list and thinking about planning for the holidays is a financial goal. So if you need to, book an appointment with one of us, we are available to talk about those financial plans. So try your best to stick to your plan. I know it's really easy to deviate away from your plan. I'm good for that. So there's some methods you could try. For example, there's what's called like a cash envelope method. So let's just say you decide to take out all of the cash that you've planned for, and you're only going to spend what's in the envelope. Some of the other things that you might do to safeguard yourself is maybe sticking your debit or credit card like somewhere in your room or under your mattress just to make sure you don't overspend, and or maybe disconnecting some of those Apple Wallet cards if you need to, just to help yourself stick to your plan. And then I know this is one that's not super popular, and I think we can often feel like it's really impersonal to give people gift cards. But to be quite honest, if we're trying to stick to our goals, this might be the best route. I think you could kind of, make it a little creative and add like a nice little note or something or a nice card to go with it. But when you're thinking about trying to stick to those goals, it may be helpful to actually give people gift cards or cash just so that you stick to that budget. And then lastly, I think it's really, really important to avoid going into debt. So the holidays come around every single year. And I think for the parents out there, you could probably relate that it's really easy to go into debt for the holidays. And we've got Thanksgiving, we've got Christmas. There's so many holidays that come up between now and the end of the year. So let's try our best to avoid going into debt.
Awesome. Thanks, Monisha. I'm going to take it from here. And just as a reminder, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A. We'll get them answered during this presentation, and we'll also have some time at the end to answer some of those questions you put in there as well. So the holidays are also a time when your family and friends love to come together, and many think back on these times fondly throughout the year. Whether you're looking to reduce spending or make your spending more meaningful, there are lots of great ways to create lasting memories during the holiday season. As Monisha mentioned, there's so many pressures and it's so easy to get caught up in spending during the season. We're going to go through some opportunities here for allow you to create those memories, but do it in a financially sustainable way. So one way to do this is to consider gifting experiences instead of items. If you look around your house and know the one thing your family doesn't need is stuff, this is a great gift giving alternative. There's a variety of ways to do this, whether it's a group gift everyone can enjoy together or an individual gift that will be more meaningful and memorable than an item. This could include something like tickets for a concert or a performance, booking a trip together as a family or a friend group instead of purchasing gifts for each other, or maybe even booking a trip as a loved one's gift if you have the budget to do so. And this doesn't have to involve planes and hotels either. Booking a day trip to a nearby town or planning to explore your own city is a great way to do this as well. Another potential experience or membership. So consider gifting a membership to the local zoo, aquarium, or a museum. This is something a person or family can enjoy year round and creates lots of memories using. Personally do that with my daughter for the local zoo up here, and that was a huge gift we got from my mother-in-law, and it's been a big hit and definitely better than some items that we might have gotten instead. Another option are classes. So does someone on your list want to learn or refine a specific skill? Purchasing a set of classes for them could be great. So cooking, art, photography, language, dance, music, or sports, and there are many other possibilities. Helping your loved ones grow a skill set can be an amazing gift. And season tickets. So if you have a sports fan or an amusement park lover in your family or friends group, you'll surprise them with season tickets for maximum enjoyment throughout the next year. These are just a few suggestions to get your mind started. The possibilities are endless. You want to think about your loved ones' interests and passions and get creative to think about ways you can use this gift giving season to build on those by gifting meaningful experiences. Another way to create memories during the season or to start some new traditions that, can be low cost options for you as well. One idea is a gingerbread house competition. So, while there are endless possibilities here, this is a great fun opportunity to start doing a little competition amongst your family and friends, and even consider posting this on social media for votes to determine the winner. A festive holiday movie night can also be a great option, complete with pajamas, hot chocolate, and plenty of snacks. The holiday season is also full of opportunities to give back to your community. You can start a tradition of volunteering together every year with an organization in your community, or a cause that means a lot to you. A cookie baking day is another great idea or example here. There's no shortage of sweets to be found during the holiday season. And it's also a great opportunity to create new traditions. So you want to plan an annual cookie baking day, then take plates of treats around to share with your neighbors and friends. Bonus points if you want to go caroling while delivering the cookies. You could also check out holiday lights displays around your city or in nearby areas. You want to hop in the car, turn up your favorite holiday music, and drive around to check out the different displays. You can make this extra special by getting dinner at a favorite restaurant before or after, wearing pajamas, or stopping for peppermint hot chocolates on the way. Again, these are just a few suggestions. You can get creative and talk to your family and friends about what traditions they'd like to start. So as we begin to wrap up today, we want to talk about how you can start planning ahead for next year too. So right now we're only a couple months away, right? So we're so close that might limit some of the opportunities to plan for this upcoming year. So the remainder of our time will focus on how to give yourself more time to ease into the future of if the holiday seasons in the future. So first off, it's never too early to start planning for the future. So as you create and use your spending plan this year, you want to make note of things you'd like to be able to include or increase next year. Holiday gatherings are a great time to start suggesting changes to how many gifts everyone buys or ask for a volunteer to host the holiday gathering next year, as well as discuss potential travel plans with plenty of time to prepare. You want to start thinking about how much you want to spend next year as well. So after the holiday season wraps up, think about how much you'd like to spend. Since you have an entire year to prepare, now's the time to dream big about what you'd like to be able to include in your holiday budget. Could also go along really well with some of your New Year's goal setting as well. A great kind of tactic to help accomplish this is to create a separate savings account and automate your deposits. So once you know how you'll plan to spend next year, you want to break that amount up over the course of the year and plan to save accordingly. A great idea is to set up a separate holiday savings account. You can divide your holiday spending goal by the number of paydays between now and the start of next holiday season. Then set up some automatic deposits for that amount to your holiday savings every time you get paid. Additionally, you want to try to plan to travel as far in advance as possible. If you plan to travel over the holidays, booking it as far in advance can save you money. Can you earn reward points that you can start saving up for the year, as these times typically are more expensive to travel during. If you have a preferred airline, keep an eye on when they release their holiday flights and consider booking as early as possible, ideally with a refundable fare in case your plans change. Booking travel accommodations as far in advance as possible can not only save you money, but a lot of stress as well. And consider what gifts you may be able to buy on sale early. So if there are certain gifts you know you'd like to purchase, keep an eye out for sales on those items earlier in the year. Many retailers have started offering sales that compete with or even exceed Black Friday throughout the entire year. This can be a great way to save money if you know you're planning to purchase in advance. For instance, if new decor is on your wish list, check the after Christmas sales to see what you can buy now at a deep discount and tuck away in storage until next year. So as you kind of look to plan for this holiday season and future holiday seasons, you want to make sure that you check out all of the services that University Credit Union has available to you. As Monisha mentioned, we do conflict-free consultations, and so we can come up. We're happy to meet with you. You can set up an online or in-person appointment with someone from our team, and we can go through your budget and your credit score and help you look that over. And again, we really want to thank you all for joining us today. You could always reach out to us. We have our contact information here on the screen. If you are not a member and you want to become a member today, you can scan the QR code on the left. And if you'd like to scan the QR code and schedule an appointment with us, that one is on the right. I don't see any questions, but if there are any, please put them in the Q&A and we have some time to get them answered for you.
Okay, I don't see any questions popping up in the Q&A box, but we want to thank you all again for joining us today. Hopefully this helps you get your wheels turning to start your holiday plans and your holiday budgeting and planning. And we do offer monthly webinars, so please keep an eye on your email for our next. Oh, I just saw a question show up. So how do you not overspend slash stick to a budget when it comes to buying gifts? So for me personally, Alyssa, I like to write out that list okay, before I actually write out the list, what I do is I will give all of the people that I'm going to buy gifts for a wish list. And I will give them a price range of how much I am willing to spend on their gifts. So let's just say it's going to be $25 for nieces and nephews. So I will give them three things that they can choose from, and I will get that list from them. Then out of those three things, I will choose one of the three things that they chose. So it helps me stay on track with giving them what they actually want. And then I've budgeted and kind of told myself, okay, this is how much I'm going to spend. And then lastly, the thing that helps me stick to the budget is ordering the items from Amazon and not physically going to a store because it can get really easy if you're wandering through stores, seeing sales, and falling victim to those impulse buys. So for me, it's helpful to get the list, to buy what's on the list, to give the budget ahead of time and order them straight from Amazon. That way I'm sticking to the plan because I am human and every year I tell myself I'm going to stick to the plan and I feel that urge to go off course every single year, especially with my daughter. So that would be for me. How about you, Dom? What's your method?
Yeah, I think this is something we all struggle with, right? I think the first thing to think about is your overall financial goals and your budget, right? So is, going overspending because you want to make a great holiday for your family, is that going to hamper you from doing some of your goals in the future that you want? Like, right, are you trying to save for a bigger house or save to buy a house or some other small goals, maybe a vacation or something like that? And think about, is this one thing really, these extra items or whatever they are, is that going to stop me from doing this in the future? Secondly, yeah, like Manisha kind of said, I've both done it and talked to other folks who've done this where it's like, okay, you can kind of pick one larger item that you want, maybe like offer your kids or your family something that, okay, pick this one big item and then everything else, we're not going to do a ton of items, or we're going to do some small gifts. So it's less about, the amount of gifts you're getting for the holidays, and more about, okay, like you really have this one thing that's important to you. We're going to work on getting that if it's in our budget. And then also then it's kind of about all the time you're spending with your family and your loved ones. And so I think kind of flipping that on its head and trying to be a little more disciplined about, how much you're spending, can really help you stay within that budget for the year.
Totally agree. And Alyssa, this could be a really good opportunity to think about scheduling a consultation here at University Credit Union because this is something we could actually take some time to review and to think about and to set up a plan for you. And then, set some follow-up meetings, for example, in a month, in 30 days, 60 days, just to kind of see where you're at. If you need someone to hold you accountable and get that plan in place, and then also help kind of push you to think about how you're going to achieve this and check in with you. So I would definitely recommend scheduling an appointment with someone at University Credit Union if you need the help. Right. I don't see any additional questions. So again, we thank you all for joining. Hope you have a wonderful holiday season, and we hope you ever have a great day. Bye, everyone.